welcome to the What Inspires You podcast. My name is Paul.
And I'm Brandon. Join us as we rediscover wonder through inspiring conversation. Wachowski. Forgot about that word. So you just said Wachowski. Totally forgot that word was in my vocabulary. The Wachowski.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I still need to clip that and put it in different places. So yeah.
All right. Well, aside from all of that wonderful inspiration, what's inspiring on your mind today, Paul?
I'm already inspired.
Yeah.
So to me, I was just in Vegas.
Oh,
The
yeah.
most inspiring place on earth.
Yeah.
No, but
Inspired by sin.
I'm a hedonist now. No, for me, it is like it was cool going. So I went for a card tournament, and I was able to just basically spend 3 days with some buddies and just play a lot of trading card games and stuff, and just hang out with probably, I think there was like 1,200 to 1,500 people there.
Wow.
Just flying in from different parts of the world, over the United States. A lot of cool people from the East Coast and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I think the inspiring part wasn't meeting the people. they were all right, but
It was the scum and villainy.
yeah, the hive. No, it was a very taxing trip for sure. Because it's like you wake up when everybody else in the room wakes up pretty much.
I thought it was like because the city takes your money.
I mean, it tries to.
It's taxing you.
I didn't let it, but it wanted my money. It didn't get it. It's like you're paying like $9 for a bottled beer, or like $30 for a whole pizza or something. It's just like, especially when you're in the hotel system.
Yeah,
it's just like they got you, and so everything's just nickel and diming you. But I literally just brought like a couple bags of nuts and like a baguette and just ate that all weekend. Yeah. So it was taxing because I didn't have enough food for one. But I don't know. Like it was cool because you're like in this challenging situation, and it's like you do all this personal work in your life and whatnot, but then you get to like test it, you get to go into a situation where it's like, okay, I'm not going to be at my best. You like know that going in. You're like, I'm not going to get good sleep. I'm not going to eat well. All these different things. And then you really get to like evaluate yourself in those moments. And so, that's kind of like what was inspiring me, was just like, self-reflection. And just being able to see like, okay, like I can still, be a nice person to people even when I'm tired and like exhausted, and like I'm still able to push through when I'm like, my body's like starving. It's like, I mean, I'm not literally starving, but it's like sending all those signals, and you're like very hungry, and you're still able to like, show up for your rounds on time and like play to a decent ability. So I was like, taking, because you could just complain and be like, oh man, I was so hungry, and it just took away from my experience, and it was miserable, and I didn't get enough sleep, and everyone was loud and all this kind of stuff. But instead, like kind of flipping it and being like, okay, let's use the stress that's happening around me to evaluate where I am in life.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was like a pretty profound and cool thing. But yeah, so I definitely learned some things about myself. It's like, because I've been wanting to be competitive at this game for a long time, and it's like trying to put in time and effort and all that kind of stuff. But it was fun, or it was nice going, and like I've already kind of pseudo quit before when I didn't do as well as I wanted. And I think like, that was locally, but then here, even traveling, like I don't regret going. It's a ton of fun, but like for my expectations, it helps me reset those as well. Cause like I want to go and do well and win, but it's, I'm just kind of realizing now how many things are stacked against you. Just, like not necessarily even just, things you can control, but, things that are just inherent in personality or whatnot. Cause it's like, I'm going to this event, and it's like, I want to do well, but you need to probably sleep well to do well. You need to like be on the top of your game mentally, physically, all these kinds of things. And like, I don't see myself being able to travel and be in my optimal state.
Hmm.
You know, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And so I'm like just trying to take a look at that and be realistic about like, am I going to be able to compete with these top level contenders while not at my best?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know, because I think we kind of get this idea that it's like, well, if it's your dream, you can like make it happen. And I think to some extent you can. But if you're 5'2" and your dream is to play in the NBA,
Hmm.
it's like, you know,
Not your best life.
yeah, you know, you might have to try twice as hard as the next person.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think like it makes sense, like that analogy, obviously in the physical space, but I think there is like a personality and mental space too where that applies. You know, it's like maybe don't have a brain for math. You know, it's like, should you really be a mathematician? You know, like I don't know if that's your calling, sure, but I think the people that kind of like stumble into that and they're like, you know, it's like the super athlete. It's like, yeah, it's challenging, but you just got to push through it. It's like they also have like, you know, perfect genetics for what they're doing as well, you know, so it's like a little bit of confirmation bias where they were like, you know, it's like a little bit of lucky, like they were just in the right area, and so pushing past the barrier for them means something completely different
Right.
than like pushing past an impossible barrier for somebody else,
Right.
in some sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna ask you if like you relate to any of that, or if there's like maybe you have thoughts on, can people just do anything, or is it like when self-evaluation comes into play, like what do you think good self-evaluation looks like?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Yeah, because self-evaluation is always in your own, context. And so, yeah, like with the NBA player, it's like they're just viewing it, well, everybody's super tall who plays in the NBA. So it's like, I don't even think of that as like a genetic advantage or, but it's like somebody who is shorter, they definitely see that as like the impossible hurdle they can't get over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, and even people who become really successful or wealthy, it's like, okay, maybe they had what kind of environment like led them to meet those people, to get that networking, to get those skills or education they need,
or even have the
whatever.
personality to like go network,
Right, right. Yeah, it's like for years the introverted personality type was like not the successful personality type, but ever since like the internet, now that's like the successful personality type. It's like people who want to be more introverted and like be alone on their computers and work remote. It's like, you are the like successful person of today, and the extrovert is almost like looked down on, like, oh, you talk too much, like get away. Like we don't need any like used car salesman people, whatever.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like personalities and circumstances can really change to make a person's self perception see them as like, I am going to exceed at this thing because all this stuff has set me up.
Yeah.
But I think that's also like within the variable of, I don't know, I don't even know how to say this I guess it's within the variable of like the things you can't control that lead you to higher advantage versus lower advantage, like your height. It's like you can't control how tall you're going to be. And so then that leads you to being more successful in basketball or less successful. But then it's kind of, what are the things you can control in terms of maybe your ability to have your like mental like mind game with the activity.
Yeah.
Like I think about the people who are competing for gold medals in the Olympics, like if it's gymnastics or something, it's like, okay, they've all done intense training. They've all, have the genetics, they've got the body type, they've done the work, they know the skills. At that point, it's almost more just a matter of who woke up in the right headspace to like perform really well. They got good sleep, all those tiny little factors that you're like putting into play, and that allows you to perform your best. You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess too, do you think like people can just do anything, or do you think that some dreams are like impossible and that should be recognized?
Yeah, I think some dreams are impossible. Yeah, I think that has to be recognized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I could dream about being an astronaut, but I think that's not going to happen.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's kind of like, for me, I've always just been the person of possibility. It's like everything's possible, but like over my life that's been deconstructed a little bit, and I got to be more realistic, which I think is freeing in its own way, where it's like you don't have the burdens of like super high dreams.
Yeah.
And it's like, as long now I lowered my expectation of myself.
Well, honestly, I think that's a good thing, because when when you hold yourself to a really high impossible dream, and it's
Mhm.
like you're probably never going to achieve that, you always are sort of living in this like shame of failure, that like, I'm like afraid because I know I'm going to fail. And
Mhm.
then you don't want to go do things because you're afraid of that failure. You're afraid of like losing your dream.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you don't really have any kind of dreams, then it almost frees you up to do more, because
Mhm.
it's like, well, maybe I'll just go try this new thing, like nothing lost, whatever. And you don't have to like get stuck on the dream path, where it's like, if the dream path is like, I'm going to be an astronaut, then it's
Mhm.
like, wait, what if this amazing opportunity comes up to do something different, but you're like, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm like stuck on this like impossible dream, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing I want to do. And it's like, well, you had a really cool opportunity there, and like if you'd been open to it, you probably would have had a great time just doing that thing.
Yeah. Or at least setting your dreams smaller, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to make good YouTube videos. It's like, okay, that's not too hard,
Yeah, all right.
you know?
People can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, yeah. With enough, like, time and effort, you can make it work.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Which is why you should subscribe.
there you go. Sponsored by ourselves. Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things where, yeah, it was just like another stripping back of, expectations I've had for myself and
Mm.
stuff. And like, obviously with like a card game too, it's hard because there's luck involved. So it's like you can't even control that outcome, but it's like, so for me, it's weird to evaluate that kind of thing too, where it's like, did I just get unlucky, or, did I not, was it like something on my end that was lacking, or just the universe's end, kind of thing, where, things just didn't line up properly. But I mean, I do think it was on my end, because it's just like, I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, okay, when I travel, like I'm not at my best, so I'm not going to play at my best just by nature. And it's like, watching these people that consistently get like good finishes, they all have teams. It's like, I don't have that. So like, you know, and I was thinking like, well, would I want to be like, at one point I did want to be on a team with people, like applied and stuff. But it was like, the more I think about it, I'm like, I don't really want to be. I'm finding more people that I connect with and resonate with just here in Coeur d'Alene and stuff. So it's like, I'm kind of even self-reflecting on what kind of communities I want to be a part of. And so like the communities like with our Bible study or with the church or with the AI group and stuff, it's like those are the communities that really bring me life right now. And I don't know that like a team of card players would necessarily, just talking about how many points of value you can get from a card in whatever situation, it's like, it's fun, but it's, ultimately doesn't lead to a lot of the stuff I like, just wisdom and whatnot. So, yeah, so it's definitely a good time to think through all that. And you got half an hour between rounds. Sometimes you just sit and stare off into space.
That sounds good. I like staring off into space.
Yeah, or at least into the ceiling of a convention center with bright lights.
I mean, it is interesting how you can go to a place that's like totally new, right? Like not your normal living situation environment, be around, other people that you wouldn't normally be like living with those people for a few days, and kind of put yourself in this like uncomfortable position. You're, bodily uncomfortable, maybe socially uncomfortable, things like that. And it definitely brings out like thoughts of like, oh, what do I want? What do I need? What are the people I like to be around? What are my comforts? What are my like beliefs? It's funny how much of that stuff comes out with just a little bit of like abnormal life.
Yeah.
Just get outside of the routine of life just a little bit, and you're like, whoa, these are my preferences. This is who I am.
Yeah. Have you had any experiences like that?
I mean, I wouldn't say I've had any recently. I've been staying in the comfort zone for a while.
Yeah.
But anytime I travel, anytime camping, getting out of the home, vacations, any of that kind of stuff, you're gonna like rethink some life, I think. And that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find like discomfort does that to you most of the time, or
Yeah,
is it
discomfort.
Yeah.
As soon as you're uncomfortable with something, you like start rethinking your life. Which is good. It's like you need to challenge yourself with those uncomfortable things.
Yeah. That's why shying away from discomfort is like pretty enabling, I guess, to yourself or whatever you want to
it's
say.
like blinding yourself. It's self-seeking.
Yeah.
Discomfort really brings reflection.
Yeah. As long, and I think especially if you can see it for what it is and like recognize, okay, there's discomfort, and instead of just being like, woe is me,
Yeah.
instead being like, okay, what is this telling me about, the world, myself,
Right.
the things.
Like I've got so many people who don't want to go to the gym, but once I take them into the gym and it's like, hey, let's go do some leg exercises, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I can't lift this weight, and they like thought they could,
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
they
Oh,
feel really
interesting.
bummed out about themselves,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Oh,
oh man,
weird.
that discomfort revealed the truth, and knowing the truth made me
Mm.
want to work harder to change that, and then
Wow.
it like motivates them that like I need to get in the gym more because I do not like where my body's at.
Yeah.
And once they realize that like they're powerful enough to change that, like they're capable,
Mm-hmm.
then it's
Hmm.
motivating for people. It gives them like a purpose.
Weird.
Yeah.
So it's almost like by not having like the discomfort reveals truth, and by not having that discomfort, you're like hiding the truth or
Right.
something.
Right. It's almost,
Interesting.
it's like I don't want to confront that thing because then I'll know the truth. I don't want to
Wow.
step on the scale, see how much I weigh,
Yeah.
because then I'm gonna like feel compelled to do something about it.
That's
I
a
just want to
powerful
live in
thing. Yeah.
ignorance.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. It's a super powerful thing. Because I mean, I've done that in my life before. Where it's like, yeah, you avoid things just to like not have to. Like I'm not
Know
gonna.
about it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna check my whatever
My
bill.
bank account.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
So I don't want to see how little's in there.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I mean, the truth is a powerful thing.
Mhm.
I wish I knew how that worked cosmically or physically or metaphysically or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just like, I think for me, it's helpful going through that and coming back. I'm like super inspired now, just in a lot of different things of like, I mean, not only seeing just the crazy standards down there of like how some people live, it's like,
Yeah.
it just really makes me want to like try to make the world a better place when in any way I can. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, that kind of comes down to, trying to respect the earth, I guess, and like, human relations, and like, make sure I'm trying to sacrifice for people and stuff like that. Cause yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Like how many people probably go through life down there without getting like real positive attention. Like I've kind of, everyone's just like so zoned out in their own little world. And it's like, it feels like no one really sees each other,
Yeah. They're positive for everything but attention.
Pretty much. But yeah, it's like, it's weird that like everything can be so shut down like that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, it's unreal. But
Yeah.
for me, it's, if we can, use the podcast to spread more positivity, or,
That's right.
just even bring up interesting things that people might not have thought about, that kind of bring excitement to life, or help people think about, their own lives and things that are, bouncing around in their head in a little more depth. I think that'd be like a really cool thing to add to the world.
Yeah. That's right.
So
Be inspired, people. Rethink your life. Do something uncomfortable.
Go to Vegas.
That's yeah. If it's gonna show you the truth.
Yeah. Probably.
It'll reveal that you have a gambling addiction and you need rehab.
Yeah. My buddy was like, he's like, hey, Paul, give me $20. I was like,
No way.
Well, I mean, just because he only had his card, not like cash.
Okay. All right.
So
It's like, did he run out of money that fast? I was like, whoa.
No. But yeah, so they just Venmoed me for the money, but he just like stuck in a slot machine and then won $120.
What?
And then walked away.
Dude, you need to take a percent on that.
I was like, where's my cut, man? Where's my cut?
Give you 20 for 20%.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it was funny, but yeah, that was the only gambling anybody did from our group.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad then.
Yeah. I mean, we're already
right.
gambling by going to a card event in Las Vegas. So
Right.
gambling on trying to beat 600 other sweaty nerds.
Yeah. Well, there's a little skill involved, So
There's
it's kind of the poker vibe,
Yeah.
Little gamble, little skill,
Yeah, definitely. Probably a little more skill than
Yeah,
gambling.
little
but
fantasy.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
BO.
for myself too. Yeah. I got like nervous sweats like in the big tournament.
Yeah.
So it smelled pretty bad. But yeah, it was funny. I actually played some people from Montana that like that come out to Spokane every once in a while.
That's cool.
So I met them. I'm like, oh, I recognize you guys. And then we had people driving from Spokane also. So they like,
Wow.
there's like two separate groups of people that drove from Spokane.
Oh wow.
and then 2 groups that flew down.
Hmm.
So that was fun.
Hmm.
It's kind of like, it's so weird seeing someone else from your city in another city, you know, like in a
Mm.
different context.
Mm.
It's like you're used to seeing them just like around at a grocery store or something, or at the card shop, and then it's like you're like in this crazy Vegas place, and all of a sudden you see like a familiar face in the crowd.
Mm.
It's like, oh, that's weird.
Mm.
Like, am I in Spokane right now?
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it was definitely a time.
Mm. It was a time. Yeah.
I'll let you-
Time of my life. No.
Probably not.
Never felt this way before. Oh.
That part might be true.
Nobody was jumping into Patrick Swayze's arms.
No.
No. Okay. All right. That's a good thing, probably.
I think there's an Elvis impersonator walking around or something.
Oh, yeah. 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 That's about right.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
As I was telling Brandon, the Miss America pageant was going on,
Yeah,
so that
that's
was
hilarious.
That was super funny. Yeah. Thought I might see Donald Trump walking around, but no dice.
You look beautiful, honey.
Oh, gosh.
Oh man.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, well, that's another topic. But yeah. Anyway, that was what inspired me, Brandon.
That's cool, man. Yeah, going to
Thanks.
Las Vegas, trying new things,
Yeah.
getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Stepping
man.
back from more competitive stuff
Yeah.
in the card area. I'm gonna become more competitive in volleyball now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I gotta pick up the competitive
All
slack
right.
somewhere else.
Put some money down on volleyball then.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
was the other thing I realized too, is like I'd be playing these matches and like my knee would be like bouncing up and down like 3 or 4 inches,
Oh,
like for
wow.
like an hour. And I'm like, you know what? Like if I was playing sports, I could probably take this nervous energy. Like if it was super competitive, I could take this super nervous energy and like channel it into like physical,
Hatred? Oh.
into physical action, It's like all this energy would be getting used up
Right.
basically.
Right.
But it, like because it's only mental, then it's like I don't think it's as grounding or whatever,
Yeah.
which I'm already like a very in my head person, so like might not be the good balancing act that I need.
It's hard when you're playing a game that you get like a nervous twitch with,
Mhm.
and it's like a card game or a board game or something, and it's like your body is like, I gotta do something.
Yeah.
You get like this sudden like impulsivity of your movement that you
Mhm.
can't contain,
Mhm.
and it's like really distracting and annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I kind of leaned into it at a certain point, but it was like I'm like wasting energy by doing this. Whereas if I was playing a sport, it would be useful energy,
Right.
that I could convert.
Right.
And so I was thinking about that as well as in terms of like knowing yourself. It's like, okay, if I'm not going to win thousands of dollars doing this, I might as well just do something else competitive that I really enjoy.
And it's exercise.
And it's exercise.
Yeah.
So I think I would get more
You
out
get to
of
hit things.
yeah. I think I'd get more out of that probably, if, as opposed, like I enjoy it just as much, if not more, like the volleyball. So it's still.
But could volleyball make you as uncomfortable? Could you have the same level of discomfort in volleyball?
if I play for like 9 hours
Yeah.
in a day?
Yeah, well,
and I do enjoy that too.
I would
but-
have some pain after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit of discomfort, but it's like a good kind of discomfort.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually that's true. Yeah. When I was in Santa Barbara, I was playing volleyball for like
Right. You came home with like some wounds.
Yeah. And I figured out a lot about my physical body at that point too.
Yeah.
So it was like that discomfort. Like I feel like I really pushed myself to the edge of like, how much can I like push myself physically? And it was a lot.
Mhm.
And I was well pleased.
Oh, well, please.
But yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to see like, okay, how, because I don't think I've like pushed myself physically in a long time. So that was like first time I'd done that. I was like, can I go all day without eating? And like, it's not, I don't think it's good for me or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but it was like, okay, I need to test. Like, can I play all day without eating? And it's like, yeah, I can do that and still like be competitive.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Maybe we should do an Ironman together.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
One of my students told me.
I don't like
yesterday-
running, but
Oh yeah, I don't like running actually that much either, but
Yeah.
I would suffer. Yeah, see, I have a nervous twitch now with my foot down here. One of my students told me that over the weekend he was supporting his friend who was treading water in the lake for 12 hours
whoa.
just because one of his friends told his other friend and was like, I bet you can't tread water for 12 hours. And they were like, yeah, I bet I can. So then the next morning they just went to the lake And from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., they just tread water in the lake.
They actually did it.
And then, yeah, apparently they did it. And he
Whoa,
was
they
there
were-
to like feed them snacks and stuff.
Oh my gosh!
So
Like
I was
swim
like,
out and like feed them a snack.
Just, I don't know, however that works. It's like, dude, like, what are you just lying on your back? You know, you're just like trying to make conversation with people. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, how does that all work?
I know. I'd want to like,
Yeah.
if I was the friend, I'm like, I need to go get lunch, dude.
It's like, I gotta go poop.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah.
like, I know you're uncomfortable, but I'm also uncomfortable just sitting here watching you.
Yeah.
Weird.
Like, I'd get bored. You
Yeah.
know? Like, even if you could physically do that, it's like, okay,
12 hours is
over it.
such a long time.
like, it's a really long time to be treading water.
I know. I was waiting in the airport for an hour and I was impatient.
Yeah.
Like, I had a 2-hour flight and I'm like, I'm bored to
Uh.
death. And I'm talking, well, nah, it was fun talking to my friend, but we were both like pretty sleepy.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Sleep talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to that point.
Mm.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, do some self reflection.
Yeah.
And that'll wrap up what inspires me.
Yeah.
Let's go on to part 2.
All right,
What
people.
inspires Brandon Cope?
Okay, well, what I find inspiring this week is tractors.
Really? Oh, I got a picture for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I think it's interesting. I think that
Is this
Tractors?
the 9-year-old boy in you?
yeah, maybe it was the
Speaking.
9-year-old boy in me speaking. I don't know. There's just something about tractors that I think is inspiring for multiple reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
one, I look at a tractor and I'm just like, that is an industrial dinosaur. I just look at
Mm.
those things and I'm like, man, that is like a beast of the machines. They can
Yeah.
just like chomp the earth and
That is
like
cool. Yeah.
knock through a building. And there's just, and, you know, it's just something about tractors that's like,
It's
ooh,
force multiplier.
it's like, that's like muscles made out of metal. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, check those things out. They're cool.
Mm.
And you know, I mean, we got tractor stuff today, all kinds of machinery that's like super advanced and pretty
Yeah.
sophisticated equipment, you know, all kinds of buttons and levers that people are pulling. And it's just interesting that we've created that, you know, like we basically
Mm.
created like muscles and joints that are stronger than the muscles and joints of the human body, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think about, because I look at anatomy all the time.
I was about to say how do hydraulics compare to
Yeah, it's like
muscles?
you look at any tractor and it's like you can find those same joint structures where there's like, okay, there's a thing that's pulling and there's a hinge right here and it's pulling the hinge up and it's got like a clamp that's grabbing something and lifts up and lets go. And it's like,
Yeah.
it replicates any kind of joint movement that you'd have in the human body, you know?
Mm.
And it's like we basically just created our own bodies with way more power behind them, you
Yeah.
know, and fueled by, you know, diesel engines or whatever. Dinosaurs, yeah. And it's just crazy to look at that and to think, man, for years people used like animals as the increased muscle. You know, it's
Mhm.
like you'd have a horse or an ox or some kind of animal was like your
Yeah.
like more than human muscle that you used. And then I think it was like a couple hundred years ago or something that we created the first like steam powered like tractor that was meant for farming.
Mm.
And it was literally called tractor because it was creating torque or traction.
Yeah.
And it was about like plowing the ground, and it basically had like a plow dug into the ground and you drive it along your dirt and it was like creating traction. It was like creating like a pull force that
I
would
see.
like dig into the ground. And so that's where the whole word like tractor came from. It's like
Yeah.
literally traction.
Yeah, because you
That's
would have used your
pulling.
animals for that before.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it basically just became like the advanced, you know, ox of your field kind of thing, pulling your plow.
Yeah.
And then we advanced it into all these other kinds of things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really interesting. But yeah, and then also, you know, there's something about little kids that they like are always taken by tractors.
Yeah.
You know, like why is it that little kids are like, ooh, machinery, like this is someone's job. This is like work that people have to do, but like I'm gonna make it play and fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I don't know what like and it just, you know, I find that kids are oftentimes interested in like, you know, firefighters, policemen, bad guys, robbers,
Mhm.
you know, their little toy cars and like the race cars and things, but then they're also really into like dinosaurs and tractors. You know, and it's like what is it that little kids are like, ooh, vicious dinosaurs that like eat people and things, and then it's
Yeah.
like tractors that like plow in the dirt, like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about tractors.
It seems like very like kids are attracted to power,
Oh,
like powerful things.
oh wow.
And so
That's
it's like
interesting.
law enforcement. It's like they get prestige, or they used to.
Yeah, not as much today, but yeah, definitely
So it's like,
classically.
you know, they're like the law in some sense, or
Mm.
you know, not above the law, but like they like enforce things. So there's like a
Mm.
power there. They represent the state,
Mm.
or you know, it's like a subtle power. It's not like direct, but
Mm.
that's there. Like firefighters are like keeping the world from burning down.
Mm.
You know, they get a lot of
Postponing the apocalypse.
they get a lot of respect. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Then like obviously tractors increase your power by a ton, and
Yeah.
you know dinosaurs are the most powerful animals.
That's right.
It's like everyone wants to know what the biggest, scariest animal is or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like what's a dinosaur?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. It's just
I'll show you that picture now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Show me a special tractor.
I'll show
Yeah.
I can show the camera too. I think maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's cool thinking about tractors, kind of their place in history of what they did, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. It's like a giant like chainsaw digging tractor thing.
Yeah, it's a trencher.
A trencher. Oh, I see. Yeah,
call them,
right.
like,
Because it's
ditch
digging.
switches, but yeah.
Right, it's like digging a line in the ground. Yeah, see, which is,
Mhm.
it's like insane. That machinery is huge.
I know. I was just
You know, like
walking
that's
by it.
crazy.
I was just walking by it in Vegas, and I
I
can't
don't know if
probably.
people can see it or not.
There's
maybe.
there's no way to see that, but yeah,
We'll have to pop it up in editing.
there you go. But yeah, it was like I was just walking by it in Vegas, and it like took like 20 seconds to like walk past. It was so long.
Wow.
It's got to be like a 40-foot like you know just blade on the front that's like digging
Wow.
up rock and concrete and stuff. And
That's
so,
crazy.
yeah, because when I was working at Big Moose, we had one,
Oh.
but it was like a 24-inch like you know blade on it
Yeah.
essentially.
Mm.
And so even that thing, like working that, you have to like muscle it around and then line it up, and you have to like lock in the wheels so it doesn't
Mm.
turn to the left or the right and
Mm.
stuff. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
and see, okay, so that's another interesting thing is like we've created these tools of incredible power,
mhm.
you know, that we basically like wield this power over the earth, like the dirt and different structures of nature with these tools, you know.
Mhm.
But it's like even these tools are like they take skills and they're, you know, they can build something or they can destroy something.
Mhm.
And I guess it just kind of reminded me of the first time I used a tractor,
Mm.
which is where I was using just like a pretty small little like backhoe.
Is that your
And,
parents'
It
property?
was up in my parents' property, yeah.
Nice.
And I was just kind of like digging out some like old asphalt in the ground that we were trying to break up and like pull it out of the ground, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up a big chunk of asphalt and I swung it too fast to the left, and the whole tractor just started to like lean over, and I like started falling to the side, and then my arm that I had the asphalt in
Yeah.
kind of bumped into a little mound of dirt, and it like caught on the dirt, and so then I
Mm.
was like stuck hanging at like a 45-degree angle, and like, oh man, I'm so thankful that I was like belted in, because what if I fell out and the tractor just landed on me, you know? But it was like, dude, this thing is powerful.
Yeah.
It can like totally kill me. And
Gotta
I
respect the
I
rule.
don't think I know how to use this as well as I thought I did, you know? And then my dad ran over and was like, you have to like push the arm to like get yourself to like go back
Yeah.
upright. And then it like, you know, like pushed into the dirt, and then it straightened out the arm, and I like was able to basically like rock myself back, and it was like, don't fall the other way. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I need to take a break now. You know, but I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, this thing there's a lot of power here, and I don't know how to use that power, you know?
Well, yeah,
cool.
and it's like, because especially with like machines like that, you know, it's like same with the robot arms in the
Mm.
like factories, like you know when they're making cars or whatever. It's like as a person, when you apply force, it's like a feedback force.
Mm.
It's like you know when to stop, you know, in a lot of
Mhm.
cases. So it's like if you're, you know, pushing somebody, it's like you rarely ever push with like your full force,
Mm.
or people rarely ever do things with their full force. You know, it's like you're always kind of like gauging and like holding back or like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But with a machine, it's like on or off, you know.
Right.
And so you get these like really dangerous situations where these like robot arms are spinning around. And it's like if they hit you, there's no recoil from that machine, you know, it's just going full force through you,
yeah.
you know. And so it's like that's why they're extra dangerous. Because like if a person was working and like even if they like were, I don't know, carrying a steel bar over their shoulder and they like whack somebody in the head,
Right.
they're gonna like not follow through with that, you know. They're
Yeah.
gonna like feel that it stops or like hit something and then whoa, like react
Right.
to it instantly. The machine just keeps going.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of these machines, like yeah, using like the trenchers or whatever, it's like you hit a rock and you would expect it to like stop because they hit like a big rock, but it just keeps grinding, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, the chain is riding up the rock and like sending it to the left, and all, you know, it's like still going at full power, just now out of control completely. And so, yeah, it does make for like a scary situation.
Well, okay, so that kind of leads to, that's an interesting thought, the idea that it's almost like your machine doesn't have, it's all muscle and no sensory nervous system. It has like no
Hmm.
detection of like brokenness or anything that's gone wrong. Like you have to use your own body to
Hmm.
basically like hear sounds or I think I'm grinding something that's wrong.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes me think of how God called Adam and Eve to be like these gardeners and cultivating the earth.
Hmm.
And for thousands of years, we like did that by hand and maybe some tools with like shovels or things, but it was very much like a physical manual labor in contact with the earth.
Hmm.
And now it's like, have we created these tools that are so powerful? It's almost like distance us from
Hmm.
that like human connection to cultivating the earth. We've made
Yeah.
cultivation like almost too robotic,
Yeah.
and we've made it so powerful that we like think that we're the masters of the earth in
Hmm.
such a way that like maybe we've minimized the power of the earth that that God like gave the earth. Like there's almost this like the difficulty has become so low, it's almost like we've lost respect for the earth and what it is, because
Yeah.
we have so much power over it now.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
causes you not to
interesting.
like you just use the power without having time to think about it.
Yeah. Like before, there might be a big boulder, and it's like, wow, this is a mighty boulder. Like, who is mighty enough to break the boulder? Like, none among us shall do such a thing. Like, oh, we failed before the rock of the mountain, and now
Yeah.
it's like, let's put some dynamite in that thing. We'll schedule that on Thursday, and yeah, let's just blow that thing out of here,
Yeah.
and we'll just keep going. And it's like, yeah, there's no respect now, just whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially if you're not the one doing it too, because like, I think still, if you go like to a, if you're just even like an outsider and you go to like an actual construction site and you have to like, you know, see what's involved in like doing these huge projects, it is pretty mind blowing still,
Mm-hmm.
like what's going on. Of like, you know, it was kind of, that was one reason it was fun working at like the tool shop or the rental shop, because it was like, you get to see all the different problems people can have with their land, or like,
Mm-hmm.
I got this big, oak tree that I need to cut down, and it's like, it's gonna take like, you know, five guys and three big machines, and like it's
Mm.
like, whoa, okay, like nature still puts up a
Yeah.
resistance,
Yeah.
and like, we would have people trying to take out boulders, and they would have to like rent a jackhammer and then like split it up into like small piece, like not even small pieces, but just you know manageable size pieces, and then they would,
Right.
after they break it up with a jackhammer, then they have to go like chipping off multiple pieces, then they have to go to a tractor to like pull out those pieces,
Yeah.
and it was like a huge process even just to get a boulder out.
You brought up to mind, I've watched a lot of World War II documentaries,
Mm.
and back in World War II there were so many aspects of the war where things would rise and fall just because of the weather. It
Mm.
was like, oh, they won the ground battle because there were clouds overhead, so the airplanes couldn't see where they were, and so that
Mm.
particular day, because the clouds were there, the infantry like won. But then the
Mm.
next day the sun came out, so then the infantry all died because the airplanes came over and shot them. And it was like, okay, it's like, whoa, dude, it's like a roll of the dice here.
Jeez.
And just things where it's like, oh, we have to try to like cross this little skinny channel of
Yeah.
England to France, and it's like it's not that far across, but like it's a huge feat to get all this machinery and man and all this power and land on the beach, and it's
Right.
like, whoa, you just got to cross water, and it's like a really hard thing to do,
Yeah.
And
Which is why America's been so lucky that they have like two big oceans on either side.
right, yeah, like an amphibious
Yeah.
landing, like this almost impossible,
Yeah.
covering that much ocean, like no way.
Yeah.
you know
Some of the storms out there. Jeez.
it really makes you realize how much land is the province of men, and like the ocean is the
Belongs to
chaos.
Poseidon.
It's like yeah, it's like, okay, like we don't have underwater cities going on because
Yeah.
that's a really hard thing to make.
Well, yeah, and each time like people are like, "Oh, there's so much space out in the water. We could do, solar panels out in the water." Or, it's like every year it feels like there's like some new person pitching an idea to like gain energy from the ocean.
Yeah.
And so I've seen like, these like little floating, they look like trains kind of on the water,
Mm.
and they like basically harness the wave power of
Mm.
the ocean. But it's like every single thing that gets like proposed, it's like, well, what about when all the barnacles grow on it and like corrode it?
Yeah.
Or what about when all the, the storms that come, or this or
Yeah.
that? It's like, what about the salt water and degrading the batteries? It's like there's always like a million things that it's just like breaking down anything that like exists in the ocean for too
Yeah.
long.
It's like, dude, we struggle enough just to make things work on land.
Yeah.
You know, like we haven't figured out how to just control our own planet.
Yeah.
You know, just on the land surfaces, like we can't even move on to the, you know, the ocean surfaces.
Yeah.
Like we're almost doing better in outer space than we're doing on the ocean. You know.
Yeah, we've had a space station in space for like years.
Yeah,
now.
we've had like a livable structure in outer space for longer than we've had like a livable structure in like the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's some underwater
I mean,
habitats.
I
But
guess
they're not-
maybe you could live on a cruise ship for a long time, but not as like a permanent structure like
Yeah.
stuck in the ocean. I don't know. That'd be tough.
Yeah, they have
You
some
get oil
underwater research
rigs, I
spaces,
don't
but yeah,
know.
people don't live there for probably even as long as the space station, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was actually I was watching an interview with a guy who lived in like a underwater research station,
Hmm.
and it was like super interesting just hearing how they lived, because like I don't know why, but like when they have to go to the bathroom, they have to swim out of their station
What?
into like another little like station kind of.
That seems super sketchy.
Yeah. So he had to go to the bathroom like super late one night, and
Oh.
like had to swim out to this other place, and like while he was there he saw like an eye
Oh.
like the size of a dinner plate like right next
What?
to him.
Whoa,
It
dude.
was like a giant grouper or something. It was like a fine thing, but
Whoa.
yeah. It's
Dude.
like shine your light, you're like, oh. He said he like pretty much didn't have to go to the bathroom after that.
Dude, if I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and that was the kind of circumstances, you better believe I'd just be like pooping in a bag or something, you know? I'll just smell it all night. Like, I don't want to get up and swim over to the thing. Like, no, it's way too much work, man. Like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Forget it. Oh, man.
So I think they're like only living like 40 feet down or something. But yeah.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
just
Well,
like,
it's not super far, but
yeah, it's not like Mariana Trench or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
you're not in the darkness.
I mean, it's dark at night, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
that's interesting.
I know. Wouldn't that be trippy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, basically they would hold their breath
Hmm.
and there'd be like a flashing light, you know, where the other building was, or like the little outhouse thing.
Hmm.
And so then you just like stick your head in the air and then stick your butt out the other side out in the water.
Wow. Dude, I wonder,
Super weird.
you know how there's that train channel that goes, I was just thinking again back on World War II, where it's like they've got that train that goes in that tunnel that goes under the English Channel from France
Oh, yeah.
to England.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's an insane feat of tractoring, machinery, whatever, however they drilled that thing.
Yeah.
Probably had the drill from the Atlantis movie, drilled through the ground. Anyway, and the French mole guy, you know. But I mean, how nuts would that be if it's like, oh, there's like a leak down there. Someone's got to go down there and fix it. It's like, I'm like under the ocean right now. Like, hope nothing just collapses on me. It's like,
Right.
whoa, there's a lot of weight and pressure overhead here.
Dude, yeah.
Like, I'd be pretty freaked out if I had to be the repair team down there. It's like I
Mhm.
could just be collapsed and I'm buried and
At
there's no
any
getting
second.
out. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's coming down here to save me. Like, I'm stuck. You
No,
know?
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple good YouTube channels just about mega projects around the world and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's just like, dude, the scales these people are working on is like insane.
Yeah.
Like casting, you know, big concrete sections of like tunnel and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, because I think with that one, what they did was I don't know if it was that one. Because a few of the undersea like tunnels, what they actually do is they like dig a trench
Mm.
along the undersea, and then they cast like super big tunnel pieces out of concrete,
Mm.
and then they piece them all together so they're filled with water, because they have to sink too, because if they're filled with air they don't necessarily sink. And
Right.
so they put the pieces down there and the whole tunnel is filled with water, and then what they do is they dredge out all the water, pump out all the
Oh,
water afterwards.
Wow.
And so after they like seal it and stuff.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's
So yeah, they're like
crazy.
sinking big pieces of concrete tunnel and putting them together
Wow.
with like big barges and cranes and
Yeah.
stuff. And so
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of work and effort we can put into these mega projects.
Yeah.
You know, buildings that we construct, infrastructure, whatever it is that brings like order to the chaos and allows humans to,
yeah.
you know, work and live efficiently in good ways. But then at the same time, like how quickly God could just like bring a storm and the whole thing's done.
Yeah.
It's like earthquake, your little tunnel's gone, you know? And I
Yeah.
just think of the mega structures that were probably created in the antediluvian, you know, but pre-flood times. And it's like, man, we just have like remnants of that kind of civilization today, you know, like people.
Mhm.
And I mean, who even knows how they were moving giant blocks of stone onto pyramids or whatever other things were going on. You know, it's like they had
Mhm.
some kind of tractor thing that they were using. Who knows what they were doing, but you know, chanting, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, just people create these massive works and then they can just be like gone. You
Yeah.
know, they just can get wiped out.
Which is like definitely something I was thinking about when I was in Vegas, you know, because it's just like each of these like hotels is like, you know, 30, 40 stories to 100
Yeah.
stories, you know, and it's like, you know, it's like it's super impressive in one sense. Like you're just like in this floating city kind of, you know,
Mm.
when you're like that high up and, you know, you got like all your little bars in there and whatever and
Mhm.
stuff. But, you know, it's like in another sense, it's like you haven't taken care of like the people around you, you know,
Mm.
and it's like you've got all this power to do all this like crazy stuff and, you know, build structures for entertainment and, you know, all this pleasure and stuff. But then it's like you can't even like simply take care of like a, you know, homeless person next to you.
Mm.
It's like kind of an irony in some
Mm.
sense, you know.
Yeah.
It's like what's all this power for if you can't, you know, actually uplift all humanity?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
yeah,
Yeah. It's just interesting how quickly things can go, you know?
mm-hmm.
And I mean, the structures that we even make today are so fragile.
Yeah,
Like even the concrete that we use isn't as good as like the concrete that the Romans used, you know? Like their concrete structures have lasted like a couple thousand years. And it's like we can create concrete structures today that don't even last, you know, like a few decades or whatever. And
yeah,
you know, just the materials we use, the all kinds of things that it comes down to.
yeah.
And yeah, it is.
It's usually like cost is the
Yeah.
biggest driver. You know, it's like
Yeah.
people don't want to pay a bunch, or you know, the project is so big you can't use the highest, you know, level of Roman concrete. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, tractors.
Yeah.
Tractors are what I was thinking about. Just how amazing it is to have that kind of like muscle in machinery,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, using it to cultivate the earth in the ways that we do that. Super interesting to think about. So
Yeah,
yeah, go drive a tractor, people.
it's pretty fun. Can
Yeah.
confirm.
Get out there, move some levers.
Take down a tree or something.
Yeah, dig some holes in the ground.
Yeah,
Right, don't fall over.
yeah. I know. I had
Keep your seatbelt on.
when I was building the yurt, you know, it's like I had to go out and dig by hand a few days, you know, and then it was like using the tractor the other day. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Like I just literally did in like 20 minutes as much work as I did in 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's like that's either depressing or depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
I like digging, so I don't care. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The tractor was definitely my dad's happy place
really,
when we were working on the land. Yeah. It's like I would go out and I would like chainsaw down like some trees and different things and branches and things and be like, dude, get out of the way. And he'd just like swing the arm and like chop them right through, you know, like little things. And he'd just like take it and scrape down branches. I'm like, check that out, man. I'm just going to do it in like 10 seconds. Watch this, you know. It's like super fast.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Different brains.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, people. Thanks for stopping by for episode 38. I
That's
think.
right. Episode 38. Thanks for listening. I
Yeah.
hope that you get uncomfortable, maybe with tractors. Maybe don't do anything unsafe with tractors.
Don't do anything Brandon would do.
Don't do anything that I would do. Okay. And if you go to Las Vegas, you know, keep it clean.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time. Thanks for listening.
All right. See you next week.